欢迎来到一凡投资心得。2025年 Berkshire Hathaway 股东大会在奥马哈举行。94岁的巴菲特依然头脑敏锐，妙语连珠。他和团队分享了对关税、AI、美国经济、投资日本等热点话题的洞见。今天这期视频，我将分享大会的9个精彩片段，以主题提炼和现场视频加中英文双语的方式，呈现大会的精华内容。2025年，贸易战阴云笼罩，8050亿美元的美国贸易赤字引发热议。巴菲特重提2003年的进口证书提案，主张平衡进出口，避免赤字失控。他认为贸易应让全球共赢，像加纳种可可，哥伦比亚产咖啡，各展所长。至于关税，他说那是经济战争，只会加剧分裂。巴菲特呼吁合作而非对抗，提醒我们贸易不是零和游戏，普世价值观和诙谐的表达赢得现场阵阵掌声。
And there's no question that trade can be an act of war, and I think it's led to bad things. Just the attitudes it's brought out in the United States. I mean, we should be looking to trade with the rest of the world, and we should do what we do best, and they should do what they do best. And I don't think it. That's what we did originally. I mean, we were good at producing tobacco and cotton 250 years ago, and we traded it. And we want a prosperous world with 8 countries with nuclear weapons, including a few that are what I would call quite unstable. I do not think it's a great idea to try and design a world where a few countries say, ha, 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 we've won, and other countries are envious. So my import certificate idea, which went no place, I think we've got extra copies. Not a great demand for the copies. If anybody did, and if you'd like, and write the office, I think we could probably send you a copy of it. But the main thing to do is not use trade. Should not be a weapon. And the United States, we've won. I mean, we have become an incredibly important country, starting from nothing 250 years ago. There's nothing been anything like it. And it's a big mistake, in my view, when you have 7.5 billion people that don't like you very well, and you got 300 million that are crowing in some way about how well they've done. And I don't think it's right, and I don't think it's wise. I do think that the more prosperous the rest of the world becomes, it won't be at our expense. The more prosperous we'll become, and the safer we'll feel, and your children will feel someday. So that's. But don't expect my import certificate idea to go down there with Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations or anything.
Berkshire 2025年的现金储备高达3470亿美元，占总资产27%，堪称现金山。面对高企的市场估值，比如科技股40倍市盈率，巴菲特为何按兵不动？他说：“好的机会就像棒球场上的肥球，不常出现。”
The amount of cash we have is we would spend, well, we came pretty close to spending $10 billion not that long ago, for example, but we'd spend $100 billion. I mean, and those decisions are not tough to make. When something is offered that makes sense to us and that we understand, and offers good value and where we don't worry about losing. And the one problem with the investment business is that things don't come along in an orderly fashion, and they never will. I mean, it isn't like every day. The long-term record is sensational, but that is not a product.
巴菲特在日本的投资堪称经典。6年前，他开始投资日本5大商社，当时的估值低到离谱，如今给公司带来了丰厚回报。他和接班人 Greg Abel 计划持有50年，甚至永远。为何如此坚定？因为这些公司全球布局稳健，而且与 Berkshire 关系紧密。巴菲特笑言，他喝樱桃可乐，他们喝乔治亚咖啡，但合作天衣无缝。
It's been a very good investment, but we are really, as Warren touched on, we envision holding the investment for 50 years or forever. But I think we also are building relationships to do incremental things with each of those companies. And we really do hope to do big things with them globally. They bring different perspectives and different opportunities, and we see, and that's why we're building that long-term relationship with them.
It's super long-term, and they have a much. They have different customs. They have different approaches to business. That's true around the world, we don't have any intention in any way of trying to change what they've done because they do it very successfully, and our main activity is just to cheer and clap, and that I can still do at 94.
Ajit Jain 他是 Berkshire 保险帝国的掌舵人，他把 AI 比作核武器，既能够革新保险业，比如让 Geico 的理赔快如闪电，也可能埋下风险。2025年 AI 热潮推高科技股估值，动辄50倍营收。Jain 却说 Berkshire 不追求风口，宁愿稳扎稳打，等机会成熟。
There is no question in my mind that AI is going to be a real game changer, and it's going to change the way we assess risk, we price risk, we sell the risk, and then the way we end up paying claims. Having said that, I certainly also feel that people end up spending enormous amount of money trying to chase the next new fashionable thing. We are not very good in terms of being the fastest or the first mover. Our approach is more to wait and see until the opportunity crystallizes and we have a better point of view in terms of risk of failure, upside, downside. So right now, the individual insurance operations do dabble in AI and try and figure out what is the best way to exploit it. But we have not yet made a conscious, big-time effort in terms of pouring a lot of money into this opportunity. And my guess is we will be in a state of readiness. And should that opportunity pop up, we'll be in a state where we'll jump in promptly.
Yeah, and I would just add, I wouldn't trade everything that's developed in AI in the next 10 years for a Jeep. So if you gave me a choice, gave me a choice of having $100 billion available to participate in the insurance, property casualty insurance business for the next 10 years, and a choice of getting the top AI product out of whoever's developing it or having a Jeep making the decision. I would take a Jeep any time.
巴菲特对美国经济信心满满，从1776年的农业小国到如今27万亿美元的 GDP 巨头，美国总能够化挑战为机遇。2025年，尽管通胀高企，美联储加息，他仍然坚信美国从未被阻挡。他提醒投资者，短期波动只是噪音，长期增长才是主旋律。
We're always in the process of change. We'll always find all kinds of things to criticize in in the country. But the luckiest day in my life was the day I was born. You know, 'cause I was born in the United States, and at the time, about 3% of all the births in the world were taking place in the United States. And I'd like to say that I had something to do, you know, so sent messages out to my parents, for God's sakes, move to the United States before I was born or anything. But I was just lucky. And I was lucky to be born male. I was lucky to be born white. And I was like all kinds of things. But it's been, if you don't think the United States has changed since I was born in 1930, we've gone through all kinds of things. And we've gone through great recessions. We've gone through world wars. We've gone through the development of an atomic bomb that we never dreamt of, you know, at the time I was born. So I would not get discouraged about the fact that it doesn't look like we've solved a very problem that's come along. And if I were being born today, you know, I would just keep negotiating in the womb until they said you can be in the United States. So we're all pretty lucky.
面对高利率和全球不确定性，房地产是否仍然具有吸引力？巴菲特谈到，相比股票，地产交易太复杂，涉及多方谈判，耗时长，而且容易生变。他回忆2008年金融危机时的地产投资，耗费的精力远超过股市买卖。对他来说，股市更高效，机会更多。
In respect to real estate, it's so much harder than stocks in terms of negotiation of deals, time spent, the involvement of multiple parties in the ownership. Usually when real estate gets in trouble, you find out you're dealing with more than the equity holder. But there have been times when large amounts of real estate have changed hands at bargain prices, but usually stocks were cheaper, but they were a lot easier to do. So Charlie did more real estate. Charlie enjoyed real estate transactions, and he actually did a fair number of them in the last 5 years of his life. But he was playing a game that, and it was an interesting game to him. But I think if you'd asked him to make a choice when he was 21, he had to either be in stocks exclusively the rest of his life or real estate the rest of his life, he would have chosen stocks in a second. There's just so much more opportunity, at least in the United States. There's so much more opportunity that presents itself in the security market than it does in real estate. And in real estate, you're usually dealing with a single owner or a family that owns maybe a large property they've had a long time. Maybe they've borrowed too much money against it. Maybe the population trends are against them. But to them, it's an enormous decision. When you walk down to the New York Stock Exchange, you can do billions of dollars worth of business totally anonymous, and you can do it in 5 minutes. And the trades are complete when they're complete. In real estate, when you make a big deal with a distressed lender, when you sign the deal, then you go into another phase. I mean, then people start negotiating more things, and it's a whole different game, and a different type of person, to some extent, enjoys the game. We did a few real estate deals that came our way in 2008 and 2009, but the amount of time that they would take us compared to doing something intelligent and probably better in securities, there was just no comparison. I mean, in a real estate deal, every sentence is as important as a person, and in stocks, if somebody needs to sell 20,000 shares of Berkshire or something, and they call us and the price is right, it's done in 5 seconds, and it closes all the time.
美国财政政策让巴菲特忧心，他警告政府长期倾向于让货币贬值，美元价值可能受损。2025年，财政赤字和债务问题加剧，他认为这不仅是美国难题，更是全球挑战。巴菲特不关心短期报表的波动，而是专注未来10至20年的定位。
And that's the big thing we worry about with the United States currency. I mean, the tendency of a government to want to debase its currency over time there's no system that beats that. You can pick dictators, you can pick representatives, you can do anything. But the people, there will be a push toward weaker currencies. And of course, that is, I mentioned very briefly in the annual report that fiscal policy is what scares me in the United States, because it's made the way it is, and all the motivations are doing a lot of things that can cause trouble with money. But that's not limited to the United States. It's all over the world, and some places it gets out of control regularly. As they know, they devalue at rates that are breathtaking, and that's continued. I mean, and people can study economics, and you can have all kinds of arrangements, but in the end, if you've got people that control the currency, you can issue paper money, and you will, or you can engage in clipping currencies like they used to do centuries ago. Or there will always be people. It's the nature of their job. I'm not singling them out as particularly evil or anything like that. But the natural course of government is to make the currency worth less over time, and that's got important consequences. And it's very hard to build checks and balances into the system to keep that from happening. And we've had a lot of fun here in the last, either the first 100 days or the last 100 days, whatever you want to call it, watching what happens when people try to make sure that they aren't running fiscal risks. And that game isn't over, and it never will be over.
2025年4月，市场震荡，有人问巴菲特是否看到机会，他淡定回应：15%的跌幅不算什么。伯克希尔股价曾经经历过3次跌幅达到50%，照样没事。他提醒，市场波动是常态，未来20年可能会有更大的震撼，关键是心态，别因为下跌而恐慌，也别因为上涨而狂热。
What has happened in the last 30, 45 days, 100 days, whatever you want to pick up, whatever this period has been, is really nothing. There's been 3 times since we acquired Berkshire that Berkshire has gone down 50% in a fairly short period of time, 3 different times. Nothing was fundamentally wrong with the company at any time, but this is not a huge move. You need to get a somewhat different investment philosophy, because the world is not going to adapt to you. You're going to have to adapt to the world, and you will see a period in the next, certainly in the next 20 years, you'll see a period that will be in what somebody in the market described one time as a hair curler compared to anything you've seen before. I mean, it just happens periodically. The world makes big mistakes, and surprises happen in dramatic ways. And the more sophisticated the system gets, the more the surprises can be out of right field. That's just That's part of the stock market, and that's what makes it a good place to focus your efforts if you've got the proper temperament for it, and a terrible place to get involved if you get frightened by markets that decline and get excited when stock markets go up. I don't mean to sound particularly critical. I mean, I know people have emotions, but you got to check them at the door when you invest.
94岁的巴菲特如何看待人生挫折？他说，挫折不可避免，但别沉溺其中。他建议聚焦生活中的幸运，比如生活在好时代、好国家。他笑称自己喝可乐、看球赛，活得很快乐，坏事总会过去。乐观和感恩能让生活更美好。
So I would focus on the things that have been good in your life rather than the bad things that happen, because bad things do happen, but it can often be a wonderful life. You could get terrible breaks in it. I mean, yeah.
大会结束前，巴菲特再次重提了他的投资理念：投资你理解的东西，并且永远持有。这句话不仅呼应了他60年的投资策略，同时更深层次地展现了耐心和纪律也适用于我们的生活。他倡导善良，待人如己，追求内在价值，而非短暂胜利。94岁的他证明，财富源于智慧，而非贪婪。今天的分享就到这里了，希望对你有所启发。别忘了点赞、订阅和分享。最后，祝大家投资顺利，并且和巴老一样健康长寿。